Good evening, welcome to the program. On Politics HQ tonight, these are the stories that made our headlines. The federal government has justified its declaration of a state of emergency in Rivers State, saying no responsible government would sit back and watch the ugly situation in the state get out of hand without taking steps to salvage the situation. Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Lateef Fagbemi would justify the government's position, said the degeneration of the crisis which resulted in the bombing of some oil installations warranted a state of emergency in the first instance.
The President came out boldly yesterday to say the situation cannot be allowed to continue, a situation in which the critical economic life of the nation, what is giving lifeline to the nation to be, criminally touched without any response from those who would ordinarily be expected to do so, cannot continue. But don't forget, the whole thing started or crystallized with the judgment of the Supreme Court that was handed down on the 28th day of February 2025, in which the Supreme Court, that is the highest court in the land, made a categorical pronouncement after making very pronounced findings, profound findings of breaches of the Constitution by the parties involved, particularly the governor of Rivers State, came to the conclusion that he was acting like a despot, and that as the situation is in Rivers State, there is no government. These are very serious and very weighty allegations that only an irresponsible head of state or leader will fold its arm to and ignore. Like I said, he took a very bold decision. We were all there when he made a public announcement, addressed the public, in which he chronicled all the facts from Genesis to Revelation.
Our focus tonight on the program is Rivers' political crisis as the President Tinubu declares a state of emergency in Rivers State. Welcome. I am Dakpo Adigboyi. Let's get the answers. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu declared a state of emergency in Rivers State on Tuesday, that's March 18th, 2025, due to a prolonged political crisis. This decision was made after the Supreme Court's recent judgment condemning Governor Siminalayi Fubara's unconstitutional actions and the collapse of the state's legislative arm. As a result of the state of emergency, Governor Fubara, his deputy, that's Ngozi Odu, and all elected members of the Rivers State House of Assembly have been suspended by the President for an initial period of 6 months. Vice Admiral Ibokette Ibas has been sworn in as the administrator to oversee the affairs of the state during this period. However, there are lingering issues. Is this situation in Rivers dire enough to warrant a state of emergency declaration? Also, does the President have the constitutional right to suspend an elected official like the governor? We'll turn live to Rivers State now, where we have, of course, Ni, our correspondent on standby to bring us up to speed on what is going on. Ni, it's great to have you. What's new? We understand that the governor, that's Siminalayi Fubara, has left the government house with his family. Do we have information on that?
I'll start with that. Currently, we cannot confirm if the governor has left the government house with his family or not. I was there earlier today, and we were not allowed entrance into the government house. Neither did any of the police officers, security officers, I will put it. Neither did they give us any information as to if the governor was at the government house at the time, or wherever his location is, because they're trying to keep this intact, this information intact. But let me come back to what is happening, the update that has been happening so far. And I'd like to start with a youth of Rivers State here. His name is Jerry, and I just want him to give his own honest opinion, because yes, I've been given analysis of what has been happening since morning, but I would like us to hear directly from the youth of the state. How do you feel today about the state of emergency in your state?
Actually, I don't like what is going on in Rivers State today, because SIM is actually doing a great work in Rivers State, building roads, constructing road, like the one I know in at Obibo. He's actually doing a great work there. Even LMA, the flyover they are doing there is actually a great work. So the man is trying, so let them call him back to office. Thank you.
Yeah. What do you think is really causing the fights? Because there are so many speculations. But you're a youth, this affects you directly. What do you think is causing the fight?
I don't actually know.
You don't know, but you're being affected anyways. Okay, if you had an opportunity right now to say something to the president of Nigeria so that he can do something about the situation, what would you say to him if this was the president of Nigeria? I know he's overwhelming, but let's assume you're facing the president of Nigeria right now. What would you say to him?
Like, to let him call up the strike, like let him call him back to office. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, Jerry. You've heard it, Dapo. The governor should be called back to office. That is the call he wants, and that's the same clamor from most of the residents of Rivers State that we've spoken to from the beginning of today till now. In fact, some went as far as praying, and while some will believe that the prayers worked, as I said earlier in one of our bulletins, that since because of the division at the House of Representatives, maybe the prayer is working. On the flip side, is the prayer really working? Because the sole administrator, the Vice Admiral Ibokette, has been sworn in to take over the affairs of the state. So is the prayers really working, or is time for action to actually be taken? But at the same time, we'll ask ourselves, what kind of actions can they take right now? The president has declared a state of emergency in the state. For now, not much seems affected, because as you can see behind me, operations are quite normal. Everything is as usual as you would have it on a normal day. But I want to believe that when the sole administrator resumes and start reeling out some instructions and of course some restrictions, I want to believe, depending on how things pan out, we'll start seeing some modalities and some changes in what exactly this state of emergency is going to look like in Rivers State. This is just day one. Tomorrow is there to look out for.
All right, Nee, thank you so much for the update, and of course definitely News Central will keep its eye on the goings on in Rivers. Once again, thank you, Nee. All right, so let's bring it to the studio. I have with me a guest who, of course, would make sense of all of this. I have with me in the studio Wisdom Chapp-Jumbo, who's a Public Affairs Analyst. Great to have you. I also have Chibike Ikenga, is the Publicity Secretary of the APC. He joins virtually from Rivers State. Thank you for your time.
Good to have me. Thank you.
All right. I also have Dr. Mobolaji Ojibara, is the General Secretary of the NBA. He also joins virtually. Thank you for your time too.
Thank you, Dr. Thank you for having me. Good evening, everybody.
All right. Let me.
Thank you so much.
Great. Let me start with you, Dr. Mobolaji Ojibara. Maybe I should just take it back to a statement released by the NBA on this matter. Let me pick an excerpt of that statement. It says that the NBA is gravely concerned about the purported suspension by the president of the governor of the state, the deputy governor, the members of the Rivers House of Assembly for 6 months. The 1999 Constitution does not grant the president the power to remove an elected governor, deputy governor, or members of the state legislature under the guise of a state of emergency. And the statement goes on. On behalf of the NBA, can you please further expatiate the stance of the association on this matter?
Okay. Oh, thank you, Dapper. Once again, thank you so much for having me. Like you have read out from the president's statements, the NBA is indeed, we feel very concerned about the ongoing. The purported declaration of the state of emergency, and of course the suspension of elected officials, raises very serious constitutional and democratic questions. I can only say I'm here to reaffirm that position of the NBA. The declaration by the president of state of emergency in Rivers State, the suspension of the governor, the deputy governor, and indeed all elected members of the State House of Assembly, to say the least, are unconstitutional. The declaration of state of emergency is governed by the Constitution, specifically Section 305 of the 1999 Constitution, as amended, and it provides very strict conditions under which such declaration could be made. And this, strictly speaking, includes situation of war, insurgency, natural disasters, or when the state government is unable to function. But of course, we have not been able to see from what is going on in Rivers State where any of these conditions has occurred to warrant declaration of state of emergency.
Sorry, just to interrupt there. I mean, one of the reasons is the apart from the governor being accused of, flagrantly not obeying court orders and a couple of other misconduct, there's also the destruction of oil installation, which some might say maybe could be tantamount to economic sabotage. Could that be enough reason for a state of emergency?
Let us even assume it is considered to be a state of emergency. The section of the Constitution we are referring to here does not give the president of the country power to remove a state governor. There are lawful ways. There are ways enumerated through which the governor of a state could be removed from office. And strictly speaking, there are three such ways: either by impeachment by the State House of Assembly, by resignation by the governor himself, or by decision of the Supreme Court. There's no way in the Constitution of the country where the president of the country is empowered unilaterally to remove the governor of the states. And and of course, even then, like I said, that there are vandalizations in the state of oil wells, of whatever is happening, is still not enough reason as far as the situations that are evident are concerned for the state of emergency to have been declared in the states, or for the president to have removed the governor of the states. Okay,
I'll come back to you, Dr. Ojibara. Let me quickly come to Wisdom Jumbo. Now, you, of course, are an avid, avid follower of the happenings in Rivers State. You're even from that community. You're youth from that community. Look at what is going on in your state. What do you make of it?
Well, today, yesterday when I heard the announcement, in fact, nobody is going to be happy that there's a state of emergency, in the states. It's not something to be happy about. It's not something to be excited about. But do we leave any choice, truly? And when some of us were begging and, trying to advise the governor to indeed not disregard court orders and listen, to the Constitution provision. I'm happy the NBA is speaking now, but the NBA did not speak when the governor presented his budget to 3 members of the assembly. The NBA did not speak. We didn't hear the NBA speaking. In fact, some of the NBA members in Rivers State supported what the governor was doing.
So you're saying largely all of this is the governor's fault? So
largely we are saying that we're not going to lay blames now, but we're saying that, first of all, even in the president's broadcast yesterday, he relied on what the Supreme Court has said in passing or proclaiming what happened yesterday. He said, and I will read a quote from the Supreme Court: a government cannot be said to exist without 1 or 3 arms that make up the government of the state under the 1999 Constitution as amended. In this case, The head of the executive arm of the government has chosen to collapse the legislature to enable him govern without the legislature as a despot. As it is, there is no government in Rivers State. The president relied on this. I mean, the argument of whether he has the power to suspend the governor, I think is legitimate. I've read section 305. And I think we will leave that conversation for the legislature. As the National Assembly, we indeed sit on this matter, and we have to veto it, what the president has done. We will leave that conversation for them, because I think it's very legitimate if the president has the power to suspend the governor or not. But in the case where the Supreme Court has said, from what has happened, it doesn't seem, or it doesn't look like there is a government in Rivers State. What do you have the president do at this point? Because if we allow, I know Rivers State and my people, if we allow this issue, if we don't curtail it now, it's going to go out of hand.
But the president seemed to not say anything. I mean, there are two major gladiators in this. You have Governor Siminalayi Fubara and the immediate past governor, Nyesom Wike. But the president was silent about the minister of the FCT.
D'accord. I think it is so easy to want to call the FCT minister in this matter.
Because he's also a key, he's also a key factor in it.
Number one, he is not in any of the case in court. Number two, in that judgment that went to the Supreme Court, the name of the FCT minister was not mentioned in any, is either a plaintiff or a defendant in this case.
So you are saying all of the utterances?
So we want to assume.
So I'm sorry.
The FCT minister is a stakeholder and is a political leader in Rivers State. He is from Rivers State. He became FCT minister does not mean he would not have an interest in what happens in Rivers State. But we want to simply blame this on the FCT minister. The FCT minister did not demolish the House of Assembly. The FCT minister did not present or ask the governor to present a budget to 3 members of the House. This in want to blame the FCT. The only place we have to call the FCT minister, of course, as one of the leaders of the state, he has to also call for caution. He has to also speak. We agree with all of that. But wanting to blame, the buck stops on the table of the governor. Let's be clear on this. Let's be clear on this. The buck stops on the table of the governor.
Okay.
So he has to do what he needs to do sincerely.
Let me bring in Chibike Ikenga, the Publicity Secretary of the All Progressives Congress of Rivers State, to wade into this. I mean, you are an opposition. Well, with the current situation on ground, I mean, you're a political party in the state, let me put it that way. What is your reaction with what we've seen by the announcement by Mr. President?
Okay, thank you for having me. Good evening, other participants. Good evening, viewers. The situation in Rivers State was completely avoidable.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, as a Rivers man, I am not happy about it. But the president did not have any other thing to do than to do what he did, to save lives, to ensure that we come back to start again. Like the last speaker said, the buck stops on the governor's table. But the governor, not being a politician over time, now allowed some dangerous politicians who disagree or who have been defeated over time, or who have been frustrated over time by the benefactor of the governor. And they found an easy way to get at him, that's the FCT minister, by giving dangerous pieces of advice to the governor, which he thought at the short run was good, but eventually at the long run is very unfortunate.
But I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we've seen instances where the governor made efforts towards peace. Even after the Supreme Court, a judgment came out, the governor tried to represent the budget on several occasions, but he seemed to have met a brick wall with members of the House. He wrote letters to them, but they seemed pretty much evasive. So, I mean, we seem to be blaming the governor and forgetting the efforts he put in towards ensuring that, towards extending the olive branch. So, is that fair?
Just before I delve into the last question you have asked, the buck stops on the table of the governor.
So what do you think he should have done differently?
Now, I'm coming. Now, you watched when some non-state actors were threatening fire and brimstone. They were going to blow down the assets of the country. They were going to create crisis. We are trying to get out of our major challenges. by the efforts of the president and the team of and his team, and then the National Assembly. Suddenly, some of these non-state actors who are known for violence, who have created crisis, who have killed people over time, who have destroyed our assets, started threatening again. A problem that was purely political, they turned it to ethnocentric politics. They start to become so chauvinistic with their utterances that their rhetoric became more divisive. And the governor did not stem the tide. If he did, we won't be where we are today. But the governor, I have said, they capitalized on his naivety as a young man who came into politics, who had been in civil service, does not know how politics is played. He allowed some of those failed politicians to seize him and begin to pursue their personal agenda. That is what has run us into this crisis. Now you said that the governor had made efforts. Yes, the efforts he's made was at what time? The House Assembly too had made efforts. Remember that a lot of water had passed under the bridge. They have become quote and unquote enemies. So it requires special purposes, it requires special decisions, it requires strong decisions to be able to make things work. Because the House Assembly members are complaining that even after the Supreme Court decisions, their salaries and allowances have not been paid. So how do you expect them to receive the governor with one hand when they have things personal that he has not addressed? So that was why people like us as a party had always talked about need for us to reconcile, make compromises, make concessions, so we can start again. But those who are behind the governor, who ought to know, try to lead him and try to make him make further mistakes that had eroded Rivers State into a state of emergency.
All right, let me leave you for a moment, Mr. Chibike Ikenga, and go back to Doctor. Of course, Doctor, if you can hear me well. My question is, you've made us understand the position of the NBA on this matter. Are there legal channels to which, if at all, the governor can contest this declaration by Mr. President?
Sorry, I'm not hearing you again.
Okay, my question to you is this.
I'm not hearing you.
You have established, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay,
yeah.
You have established the position of the NBA saying that the president may have stepped out of line, suspending an elected official. But are there legal avenues to challenge this?
Oh, of course. This is a constitutional matter. And of course, the courts are always there when constitutional issues like this arise, which somebody can challenge. The governor, of course, I'm sure he's probably putting up his legal team to challenge the action of the president. But like I said, there are specific ways through which an democratically elected governor can be removed from office. And we believe that the president has not followed due process in removing the governor of Rivers State. Going away from legal avenues, we all know that these have democratic implications. If this is allowed to stay, and that is our concern, it's an erosion of federalism. Of course, the law is clear. States are independent entities. And of course, so arbitrary federal interventions would always weaken state autonomy. And that is what is going to happen in the case of Rivers State, with the president unilaterally removing the state governor undemocratically.
Okay, Dr. Ojibara, sorry, I just want to include this. Some are sort of relating what is going on now with the time of President Olusegun Obasanjo and what happened, in Plateau State. I mean, from a legal standpoint, are there connections here?
No. Of course, because everybody who has been following the trend in Rivers State know that what is happening in Rivers State is purely a political situation, and we expect that a political a solution should have been looked at in solving the the problem there. It has nothing to do with there are different things. During those periods, there are what we could say are imminent dangers. Now, for God's sake, we all know what the trend is now, and the implication is that if this is made a precedent, of course, no governor is safe again. The president can just wake up any day and decide, like, for whatever reasons, he wants to remove a state governor. It's a dangerous precedent, and that is the concern of the NBA.
As an association, aside this press release, what else is the NBA doing anything to maybe challenge this?
Well, we are still consulting. We are looking at the trends. Like we still had a short meeting today. We are looking at the trend. We are consulting, and at appropriate time, if there's going to be any action that the NBA would take, of course, the public would know.
All right. Thank you so much. Let me leave you quickly and come back to the studio. Wisdom, yes. You said quite a couple of several things, but I would like you to speak on the aspect of governance right now, and particularly its impact of this on administration in the state. In the coming weeks, what are we looking at?
Well, good question. Thank you so much for that. Now, the president has sworn in the administrator, who is expected to now go and take charge and run the state. Unfortunately, that's where we are. First things first, I think, is the issue of salaries of civil servants and local government workers. I think, most sincerely, that needs to be quickly addressed, because that was what was pending in the budget that was supposed to be presented to the State Assembly. You know, that we're seeing some back and forth and all of that. I think innocent civil servants who don't have anything to do with this issue need to be paid their salary. That's going to be the first one. The other one is, of course, the issue of bringing peace and order. So we don't know how the administrator plans to do this when he arrives, but ensuring that there is no more damage to facilities, you know, either from our pipelines and all of that, putting modalities in place to ensure that all of these are protected, and also begin to engage these actors so that, you know, we can begin to have conversation on the way forward, you know, for bringing peace to the state. So I think those are the things that will begin to play out in the next couple of weeks. And of course, the National Assembly is still going to debate on this. I think we heard they stepped it down for tomorrow, and they're going to discuss some of the legalities around all that has been proclaimed so far. And like the Attorney General of the Federation said, he said, you know, any concerns, please let's direct to the National Assembly, because they have to veto this, and they have, I think, from Section 305, they have about 10 days, at least up to 10 days to conclude this, and they will look at all of the issues. And I think the Supreme Court judgment of February 28th will come in very handy to look at all the points, you know, that has been made on that judgment. Like I said before, the governor, it was in breach of Section 96, Section 120, Section 121, Section 122, you know, and nobody said anything. We kept looking at this thing. So
anyway,
we'll leave that for the National Assembly to look at and also assess what the president has done.
Okay, I mean, so many angles to this particular conversation, but right now we'll go on a quick break. When we return, I'll be bringing in Bedford Berefa, spokesperson of the Ijaw Youth Council Worldwide, will be joined virtually from Bielsa. The big question also on the lips of many is, why has Mr. President not said anything about his minister yet? The Minister of the FCT, who of course is also a player in all of this. We'll talk about this and more when we return. Stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. It's still Politics HQ on News Central Television, and we're looking at, of course, the state of emergency declaration in Rivers State by Mr. President yesterday, and the suspension of the governor of the state, Fubara, who of course has been replaced by an administrator for 6 months. Well, I still have my guest with me. I have Wisdom Chapp-Jumbo, he's a Public Affairs Analyst, is live with me in the studio. I also have Chibike Ikenga, is the Publicity Secretary of the All Progressives Congress of Rivers State. He joins virtually. I also have Dr. Mobolaji Ojibara, is the General Secretary of the NBA. And joining this conversation right now is Bedford Berefa, a spokesperson for Ijaw Youth Council Worldwide. He joins virtually. Well, Bedford, if you can hear me, as the spokesperson for the Ijaw Youth Council Worldwide, What is your position on the declaration of a state of emergency, in Rivers State and the suspension of the governor?
Now, the Federal Republic of Nigeria is very clear on that. The Section 305 of the Constitution is clear on the processes of declaring a state of emergency, and the issues in Rivers State has negated all of those provisions. It's uncalled for, it's unconstitutional to remove a democratically elected governor. That is unconstitutional. That is an abysmal. And I heard, your guest was talking about, the governor bridging sections of the Constitution. I can tell you for free, upon the defection of those 27 lawmakers, he builds on him, to take laws into his hand. He used the law to suspend them, and they were suspended, until Supreme Court said otherwise. And here is the man that said, I am willing, to implement the provisions of the law, the instrumentality of the Supreme Court judgment. I will implement it to the latter. But there was no room for such implementation to be given. Now look at the parameters in which this state of emergency is given. It's totally unconstitutional, it's totally unlawful, and it's totally a disgrace to the federal system of government that we are practicing as a nation. Now let me ask you, the Supreme Court has withheld the salaries of the allocation of Rivers State. Now, if this administrator comes, which fund will he be using to be paying salaries? When the Supreme Court, can the declaration of state of emergency, has it overruled the position of the Supreme Court? Those are questions that are running our mind. But generally, this declaration is unconstitutional. And we hope that the House of Reps and the Senate will not prove to Nigerians that they are rubber stamp indeed.
Let me come back to Chibike Ikenga, the Publicity Secretary of the All Progressives Congress. Now, for individuals who are following this scenario in Rivers State, with what we have seen as the latest development, there are less strong speculations that this might just be an attempt, at state capture by the ruling party, which is your party, to capture Rivers State ahead of 2027. As the Publicity Secretary of the All Progressives Congress, what's your reaction to this?
Okay, thank you very much. That's totally out of place. It's not correct. If we say that is the situation, the APC asks that the governor and the House of Assembly should continue to bicker, and then governance suffers. Are we also saying that it was APC as a party that did ask the Supreme Court to take the position it has taken on all the happenings in Rivers State? That's not correct. It's like a saying in my place, a woman who is unable to deliver freely will begin to accuse the family members.
But there are also speculations as regards abuse of federal might here, which of course is the ruling party, your party, the APC. So looking at all of this, how do you respond?
It's not correct. Let me tell you, PDP is in charge of Rivers State.
Is it?
PDP had disagreed from top to bottom. PDP is in crisis. And what is also happening in Rivers State is a further extension of the disagreements they are having in their party. Take note that Supreme Court took decisions and made references to infractions on the Constitution by the executive under Governor Siminalayi Fubara. And the NBA that is speaking today did not say anything about that. People have complained in Rivers State over time about disobedience to court orders, court rulings and court judgments, and then courts of concurrent jurisdiction giving different interpretations and decisions. NBA never said anything, and NBA is now grandstanding to say it's unconstitutional. This is unconstitutional. If they know, or had they known, that actions that were taken in Rivers State by the executive were unconstitutional, why didn't they speak up? Actions that were taken by the judiciary in Rivers State, why didn't they speak up? If they knew that even the Rivers House Assembly took decisions that were ultra-virus, why didn't they speak up? So it is not APC. It is the way they want to do things, and that nemesis has caught up with all of us as Rivers people. Because once we continue to pursue ethnic agenda, continue to pursue divisive policies and programs in the state, that's what we get. Wherein some persons who do not have any role to play in a political disagreement will now come from their ethnic group to begin to threaten others, a situation where in all the political parties and groups, we have all the sons and daughters of all the ethnic groupings. But a particular ethnic group, majorly outside of Rivers State, because from the Ijaw extraction, we have respected leaders of Rivers State who are from Ijaw. We have Judge Sekebo, who leads the Rivers Ijaw People's Congress. We have Vice Admiral Sawotu. We have Roland Sekebo, to mention but a few of them. We all agree here in Rivers State to do things together. It's this, our Ijaw friends who are from outside of Rivers State, that try to use the governor to fester and to pursue the ethnic domination that has created this crisis we have now. Otherwise, we have disagreed over time. We have continued to disagree and come together. We have lived with our Ijaw brothers who are from Kalabare, who are the Obolo people, the Okrika people. Then you have people from the Kweres, you have the Ogonis, you have the Eches, the Ekpeyes, who have always lived in harmony. We have worked together. We have continued to work together. But these people who are not Rivers people come from outside to create crisis because of ethnic domination.
All right, Mr. Ikenga, let me leave you for a moment and bring in Dr. Ojibara to respond to some of the things that you have raised as regards the NBA. In a way, suggesting that in its stance, the NBA is sort of, is dealing double standards. What's your reaction to some of the things you've been accused of as an association?
Thank you, Dr. And I must also thank Chibike for his comments. You see, Nigerian Bar Association, we uphold the rule of law. We are not partisan. We don't take part in politics. We don't take part in what is going on among politicians. What has been happening, like I said earlier, that the situation in Rivers State is purely political. And so because of the fact that it had been a political situation that has been going on in Rivers State prior to this period, NBA has no business interfering in politics of the states. And you wouldn't expect us to be interfering in every political situation in every state. Everybody that has been following what has been happening in Rivers State is aware of the fact that it's a political crisis that is happening in Rivers State. We are a non-political, non-governmental civil society organization. We do not take part in politics. We do not interfere in politics of states. It is because what we have seen, what we have witnessed, what we have seen that has happened, which we believe should be intervened in, the undemocratic, unconstitutional action of the president of the country.
Dr. Ojibara,
we believe is a dangerous precedent that should not be allowed to stay. And that explains the reason why at this period we have decided to speak up.
All right, Dr. Ojibara, I want to just throw a direct question to you, and that is the role of the judiciary, in all of the political, I call it, landscape and dramas that we have seen. Using Rivers, for instance, as an example, we've seen cases where there are court judgments and counter-court judgments. I mean, this falls within the purview of the judiciary, and various interpretation that seems to sometimes even confuse the polity. So I want to ask you as an association. Yes.
Yes. Judiciary is different from the Bar Association. We do not control the judiciary. The Nigerian Bar Association does not control the actions of the judiciary. Judiciary is only an arm of the government. NBA is not. NBA is neither under nor in control of the judiciary. So whatever the judiciary is doing, of course, which impacts on, just like every other Nigerian impacts on the Nigerian Bar Association too, it's only the action of the judiciary. NBA is not part of the judiciary, just like judiciary is not part of the NBA. We are distinct.
Even though all of you consider yourselves to be learned fellows, lawyers.
Oh, we are. You see, don't get this mixed up.
I'm
Just
trying
like
to understand,
the
actually.
executive, like the legislature, the judiciary is an arm of the government. Nigerian Bar Association is non-governmental. We are a civil society organization. We are a pressure group, which is what we are doing at this moment.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
NPA is not governmental.
Okay.
We do not control the judiciary. We do not determine what the judiciary does.
All right, let me leave you for a moment, Dr. Ojibara. Let me come back to the studio. Wisdom Jumbo, I want to believe you have some reaction, because I noticed that while I was talking, you are sort of taking mental notes.
Yes. I mean, I want to most respectfully disagree with the General Secretary of the NBA, Dr. Mobolaji. Look, yes, we know what the NBA does. We know that the NBA upholds the rule of law. That's all. The NBA was watching. A state governor presented budget to 3 people. Section 96 is clear on what forms the quorum of a state assembly. The governor presented this budget to them and spent an entire fiscal year, 800 and something billion naira or million naira of the budget. He spent it. After presenting these 3 people, the NBA didn't see an issue with this, that it was unconstitutional. So I want to disagree with the General Secretary most respectfully.
Okay.
That they should have said something at that time. And several other, and we agree the issue Rivers is political. And political solution has failed, and they went to the court and exhausted all the legal means up to the apex court.
All right.
So the way forward again now is the political solution, to be very honest.
Okay, let me bring in Bedford Berefa. Is actually the spokesperson for the Ijaw Youth Council Worldwide. Bedford, I mean, you feel free to react to any of what you've had, but I want to ask you, as a youth council now that, I mean, temporarily the government of Rivers has changed. What's the next move for your association? Bedford, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm asking, now that, of course, we've seen the recent political developments in Rivers State, as the spokesperson for the Ijaw Youth Council, worldwide, what is the next move right now for you?
Okay, basically, let me diffuse the ethnic coloration that is being given by Ikenga. Rivers, we know, is a multidimensional ethnic, states. My mother is from Abonima, so by that I am also a Rivers man. However, Rivers is not only made up of Ijaw people, and it's not only Ijaw people that are making statements. The statements that are made, the pro-Wike people are trying to give that coloration that is Ijaw national, ethnic nationality as that one. No. It's Rivers people that are standing behind Governor Fubara, and not just Ijaw nation. The entire Rivers, for all the man, his mother is maternally is from Wike's, is a Wike's kinsman maternally. So you will not tell me that he don't give an Ijaw coloration to it. That is totally wrong. And number 2, the judiciary, right from time, I've been crying about the injustice that the judiciary has been giving, and the parochial judgments that the judiciary has been giving from time to time, that has led to this confusing court judgments. And you know that the governor acted based on a court judgment that says that those 27 persons have defected, hereby they are hereby suspended. There's a court judgment that he was acting on. So it was based on that he did what he did. And now the Supreme Court has upturned what he has done and said, go back and represent this budget. And this man is making frantic effort to present budget. No, he said no.
Bedford, can you hear me? I think we, of course, lost connection there with Bedford Berefa. Once we're able to connect, I will bring it back. But let me go to you, Mr. Chibike Ikenga. Just quickly, I mean, in the coming weeks, what, as a party, okay, I understand that we have Bedford back. I'll come back to you, Mr. Chibike Ikenga. Bedford, I'd like you to land.
Okay. All right, I was saying that, number 1, don't give ethnic coloration to it. It's Rivers people. The Rivers money, and the entire Rivers people are behind Governor Fubara. And we know that democracy is for the people. The people are the original owners of democracy, and not one man, and not judiciary. I know Fubara acted based on judicial conflicting judgments. So the judiciary has been part of this problem. Now the Supreme Court, which is the apex court, has said, go back and represent this budget. You can see the frantic effort that the governor made to represent this body. But the poor, wicked people, they are not interested. Wicked forcefully came into an Ijaw community that said, no, we don't want any trouble. He came just to cause chaos.
Bedford, because we're really pressed for time. So we are really pressed for time, Bedford. I would like you to just quickly address. I would like you to also speak on the fact that it seems like the president was silent on the minister of the FCT, Ian Somuike, in all of this.
That is the problem. Yes, Somuike allegedly happened to be a de facto president. It's like he's above the law. He's above the law. He is the center of all of this crisis, but nothing, no word against him. There is no form of suspension, and Rivers, who has been saying, suspend this man. As well, I can tell you emphatically that bomb blast, it could be, allegedly, that is pro-wicked people that set up those bombs to destabilize Rivers State, to set Rivers State into chaotic mode. I have said this time with that number, so he should be held responsible. The president should not be parochial. If anything happens that infringe on the right of the people, I can tell you for free that the people will defend the democracy that we are practicing, except there is no democracy in Nigeria.
All right,
so it is not ethnic coloration, we have said it.
All right, so just in 30 seconds, Mr. Chibike Ikenga, I mean, as the Publicity Secretary of the APC, in the coming weeks, what is the next move of the All Progressives Congress in the state?
Yeah, thank you very much. We'll continue to sue for peace, but if you check in Rivers State, there is no ethnic organization, ethno-based organization that has said anything about this matter. It's only the INC, Ijaw National Congress, those who are from outside Rivers State, the IYC, those who are from outside Rivers State. They want to intimidate Rivers people and take over Rivers State from their own to their states. And then finally, what we say completely is that this matter is a disagreement between the legislative and the executive.
Gentlemen,
gentlemen, Governor Siminalayi Fubara, who is an Ijaw son, who and his parents' son, and grandson, helped him to become the governor, and they have that friendship without ethnicity behind it. We also have Rivers State ethnic groups who are from Ijaw, who are responsible river sons and daughters, and all of us work harmoniously for the good of this nation, including the governor. We need to work together to ensure that Rivers State progresses.
Gentlemen,
sentiment of intimidation. We want to
gentlemen calling the enemies of the Niger Delta. There are people that are part of this problem.
It's interfering with my own time. So if he doesn't have to discuss,
gentlemen, please.
That is totally unconstitutional and undemocratic.
Gentlemen, please. Thank you. I think I'll just move the conversation to of course, the General Secretary of the NBA. That's Dr. Ojibara. Dr. Ojibara, 30 seconds. What is your advice, for Governor Siminalayi Fubara and Nigerians generally, particularly residents of Rivers?
Thank you once again, Dapo. Nigeria's democracy is built on the foundation of rule of law. We as an organization, the Nigerian Bar Association, we would continue to ensure that rule of law thrive, and will continue to uphold and defend the constitutional governance. The political crisis in Rivers State must be resolved, like we have urged, through lawful and democratic means, not through unconstitutional executive actions. And so we have done that, and on behalf of the NBA, again, on behalf of the president of the NBA and indeed the Nigerian Bar Association as an organization, we urge all parties in this matter to act in the best interest of the nation, including Governor, because as far as we are concerned, is still the governor of Rivers State, Governor Fubara, who has been undemocratically removed from office through federal might.
What do you,
everybody to act in the best interest of the nation?
Quickly before I leave you, what do you suggest should be done to the Minister of the FCT?
Well, I don't want to make any statement with regards to that. Since
should he also be suspended? Should he also be suspended?
You see, now you are dragging me into the politics of River State. The minister of the FCT has not featured in any way in the statement made by the president, which is the reason why we are here. The minister of the FCT has not been mentioned in the declaration of the state of emergency, or in the suspension of the governor, his deputy, or the members of the state House of Assembly. And so I will not allow myself to be dragged into the politics of River State. We are discussing the state of emergency. It has not been featured in any way in this. So I'm not going to make any statements with regards to the minister of FCT, sir.
All right, gentlemen, I'd like to say a big thank you for your time on the program. Just quickly before we go, just in 30 seconds, I'll come back to you, Bedford. 30 seconds. The youth of River State, what is your message as the spokesperson for the Ijaw Youth Council? 30 seconds.
My message is that let's be calm. There's no need to destroy federal facility. However, the legitimate legal practices, we must experiment all legal opportunities, all legal windows, even demanding for the impeachment of Mr. President if possible, because he has acted undemocratically. He has breached the Constitution. So it's an impeachable offense. We can go ahead and look at all of these possibilities, but please let peace reign in River State. There's no need to bomb any place. There's no need to destabilize anything. Let us just maintain decorum.
All right, gentlemen, I'd like to say a big thank you for your time on the program today. Wisdom Chapp-Jumbo is a public affairs analyst. Thank you for your time. And also Chibike Ikenga, the Publicity Secretary of the All Progressives Congress, River State. It's been a pleasure. Thank you. And Dr. Mobolaji Ojibara, the General Secretary of Nigerian Bar Association. Thank you also. And also Bedford Berefa, spokesperson for the Ijaw Youth Council Worldwide, joining virtually from Bayelsa. Thank you also. Well, this is where we drop the curtain on today's episode. In case you missed out, you can catch up on our YouTube platform. That's at News Central TV. You can also choose to watch us on GoTV, where we are live now on channel 23. We are also on DSTV channel 422. And you can also choose to follow us across social media. The handle is there on your screen. You can choose to follow me personally at Dakpo at Digboye. Until I come your way tomorrow, good night.